Okay. That's live? Okay, great. Let me just... That work. That should have worked. Okay, I'll be right back, one sec. Guys, I'm live! Um... I could hear my fucking own stream from outside. Okay. For those unaware, I'm just gonna have I'll have chat and shit pulled on my iPad, like it usually is. It's also where my script is, so that's gonna be fun. Okay, wait, I usually have this shit set up before stream. Oh fuck. It's already stuffed. Okay, so, for the VOD viewers, for the VOD watchers, somehow we have managed to wrangle a bunch of people from a meetup, an IRL meetup, and we are all doing presentations on our hyperfixations. I'm going first, since I'm the host, and of course the owner of this fucking Twitch channel. Also because we're doing this in my house. Let me just... I think it's like... I see like a black border on my fucking screen and it bothers me. I'm just gonna... do that. Hyperfixate. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go first. My presentation is called Top 10 Reasons. Well, top reasons why you should all go to hell with me. And let me just pull up my own script, because I had one written out. Okay. Top 10 reasons why you should all go to hell with me. Presentation by me. So, but Mina, what is hell? Excellent question. Hell is a C-drama, also known as a Chinese drama, that was aired on December 25th, 2018, starring this person, Zhao Liying, this person, Feng Xiaofeng, and this person, Zhou Yilong. It's set in Song Dynasty China, one of the few, like, genuine golden ages of the country, I would say. It's one, like, I think it might have been, like, the second one. Notable accomplishments are things like, you know, like the movable type. They discovered, like, a use for gunpowder aside from just fireworks. They invented, like, shit like the mechanical clock. They had really cool ships. I couldn't find pictures of the ships. They had really cool ships. They had papered money, they had compass navigation, and they were one of the first few people to, like, actually produce porcelain, which, as we all know from history, was a big thing to be traded with the West. Now, how do we know it's the Song Dynasty? Because the story actually never really, like, specifically told us that it's set in the Song Dynasty. We just know it was generally set in historical China, because they were constantly referencing, like, previous events. They were constantly referencing, like, famous figures from, like, say, like, the Warring States period. Well, the reason why we know this is because of the hats. This is a screenshot from the show, and this is a painting from the time. As you can tell, the hats they have on them have those, like, those big, like, ear things. Right. It has the ear things on top of the hat. That legend has it that it was developed, well, it was designed, I guess, by one of the founding emperors of the Song Dynasty as to prevent court officials from like whispering to each other in court, because they were mandated to stand separate from each other within like the distance of the hats. So the hats couldn't touch each other, and if they did try to whisper to each other in court, it would be super obvious because that whole thing would be tilting around. So yes, this guy invented social distancing way before it was relevant to us. Another reason why we know that it's in the Song Dynasty is because of the poem that this drama slash book adaptation of the same name that it was based off of. It was written by Li Qingzhao, who was one of the very few female poets in ancient China, who was mostly known to have written stuff about like domestic life. And if you're writing about domestic life, you're writing about the life of women. This poem reads, in Chinese, it reads, 昨夜雨疏分舟，浓睡不消长久。试问卷帘棱，却道海棠依旧。知否知否，应是绿肥红瘦。 The last line here, which translates to here, this is actually a pretty decent translation. We will not be getting into the specific grammar choices of this poem, which is interesting of itself. But this last line here, also known as the title of the drama and of the book of the same name, focus is like the main idea of the drama. Among its many themes and as many like storylines of the drama, this is ultimately a coming of age story. It's about a flower, parentheses, a girl, withering after a storm, aka hardships, in order to bloom into a healthier tree, womanhood, and how life has to go on even after said hardships, even after said trauma. And oh god, this show is full of nothing except trauma, hence the nickname of Hell. To quickly summarize the story before we get into reasons why I love this show and all of you guys should go to hell with me, or sometimes watch this drama, this little girl right here is our main character. This little girl of this terribly taken screenshot. This little child is the 6th daughter of the Sheng family, and that's her here as an adult. And the Sheng family is a semi-noble family who has been recently promoted to move to the capital to serve as a 5th-ranking official advisor in the imperial palace. And shenanigans that ensued afterward. From now on, for the sake of simplicity, I'll just call her the 6th daughter, or 6th. 6th is a hard word to pronounce, but fuck it, we ball. As the 6th daughter, she was born to a mother who was literally sold to the family to pay for like medical bills for her father, because her father was like sick and dying, so she was like basically sold off to this noble family to pay for said bills. But because of the fact that she was sold here instead of like brought in officially as either like a main wife or even just as a concubine, she has no standing in the house. She has no one to back her. The prologue of the story is all about her, the main character, and her mother struggling to get by in an otherwise, wealthy household. They were still an official even before they were promoted, right? Without a backing, they lacked a lot of their the basic needs of life. They didn't have good quality coals to heat their room or their food. They only had really, really basic clothing and only wore the best of the best when they had guests. And they had to constantly look out for themselves against the conflicts of the main house. And the concubine, I guess we'll get to this in a bit. They did this by never attracting attention to themselves. Even though they are still, by all means, a part of this semi wealthy household, they never got any of the luxuries and they never asked for any. Because the mother understood that as soon as she attracted attention to herself and to her daughter, they would be targeted and be perceived as a threat. The only light or like chance of hope that that her mother like realized for her daughter to survive or have a backing in the household is for her to serve the paternal grandmother of the house. That's this wonderful woman over here. And even though she knew that she wouldn't share in her daughter's glory if her daughter got sent over to live with her grandmother, at least her daughter will be safe. And you know, as a mother, that's that's honestly all you want. So the conflict in the household centers around, like I said, the main house, the main madam of the household, the first wife, and the second wife slash concubine that the father of the household took in a few years after the main couple got married. To put in a slight perspective about how like Chinese like families and shit works, there's always the main legitimate family. This is like your first wife. So all your kids are like legally recognized. And the second wife would be. Is something going on outside? I hear shit outside. What is happening? Okay. Um, the second wife and subsequent children, especially under concubines, are considered illegitimate. I just heard laughing. What is going on outside? Okay. Anyway, onwards. Um, these two are competing to essentially fight for the favor of the father of the household. And currently, and for a long stretch of the story, the second wife is always winning. She always has like the dad of the household like in the palm of her hands because she is incredibly manipulative, but like in the like the story describes her as a very cunning, sly woman who knows how to like play up her own weaknesses to make other people sympathize with her. The main madam, on the other hand, is a straight shot. Like, she grew up as like the spoiled, like, daughter of a rich household. So she got married thinking, like, yeah, I'm gonna be in charge. Like, I'm gonna have a good life, I'll be in charge. Like, no one's ever gonna be able to threaten my position. And then, you know, she comes along. She's not a bad person, though. She's just not as good as like holding on to the attention of a man, of a guy, than her competitor is. But she is a good mother. Definitely better than her. She means well for her kids, I swear. But after an incident regarding some wedding prizes, something 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 gambling, something 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 feather tosses, something 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 the son of the second wife losing horribly. Meanwhile, the main character ends up saving the day in some miraculous feat of luck and skill that put her on the board with her family. It brought all the attention from, as you can see, this entire crowd of people who gave no shits that she existed until that very moment when she beat this guy. But with that, with the fact that she's now brought attention to herself, with the fact that she's managed to get attention from her dad to both her and her mother, the second wife starts feeling threatened. Her mother's position is suddenly shaken because now, instead of just being in her own corner of the household, just living peacefully, there is now someone who wants to take her down a pedestal before she can become anything big. Before her daughter, before our main character, can threaten her kids. So, what does she do? Well, this results in a rather malicious scheme disguised as a tragic accident, resulting in the miscarriage and death of our main character's pregnant mother, despite her and this guy's best efforts to save her. As per her mother's last wishes, our main character agrees finally to go live with her elderly grandmother, who sympathizes with her, understanding that she is now alone in a world without a backing. Because her father doesn't really give a shit about her. Her mother is dead, and none of her siblings, and especially not the second wife, really cares about her. Also, as per her mother's last wishes, as well as going to live with her grandmother, she adopts her mother's philosophy of how survival will always be the most important thing in life. You always need to survive, and the way you survive is by never attracting attention to yourself. Be in the background, be average, and live life peacefully. Life, of course, goes on. This is her as a grown-up. Well, grown-up in the sense that she was maybe like in her mid-teens to early 20s as the show goes on. You know, but yeah, life goes on, and life goes on, the story goes on, the plot goes on, like she falls in and out of love. She finds out the truth about her mother's murder. She then plots a sick fucking revenge for her mother's murder, and then gets married to the guy who helped, who tried to help her save her mother. The guy in the blue like dress thing. Yeah, she got married to that guy after a very, very long, like 40 episodes for the first season. Who, on top of all the shenanigans that I just mentioned, has had a plot of his own happening all in the background. A lot of shit happens. But, more shenanigans happen in season 2. But that is more of a story that is a story too long to try and recap. And also, if this elevator pitch works and one of you guys watches the show with me, I have to have something to show you guys, right? Like, even though it sounds like I just summarized the entire plot, I'm telling you, there's so much shit in this thing, in this fucking masterpiece of a C-drama that has forever changed my standards on how I, view the show or the entire genre as a whole. And I'm gonna get into those reasons. Number 1. Schemes. There are so many schemes in this fucking story. Even in season 1, even in season 2. This entire C-drama is just a bunch of people trying to outsmart each other. It's literally like the meme of like, aha, I've outsmarted you. But oh no, you've outsmarted my outsmarting. But aha, little did you know, I've outsmarted your outsmarting of me, of like my outsmart. It's just that entire loop and just people trying to outsmart each other and trying to scheme against each other. And it's really, really, really well done. Like, most notably, the revenge scheme that our main character pulled against the villain for season 1, for the second wife, is stretched like 15, like 10, I think it might have been like 10 episodes, but it was 10 episodes of just her scheming and plotting the downfall of the person who murdered her mother. And you just have no idea. Like, she doesn't do, like, a villain. She doesn't do, like, a monologue of, like, I have to get revenge on my mother. She just, like, she goes, oh, she's the one who killed my mother? Okay, cool, let me go home now. And she just starts doing things. And you're like, that's a little bit strange. She doesn't usually do that. And then it all comes to head in one big confrontation where she just doesn't even say anything. She just sits in a room and just watches the villain die in the most satisfying way possible, that took down her entire world, that like fucked up the life of not only the murder of her mother, but also her children. It's a sick scene that is so nicely done. That was a really nice payoff, especially because even just putting like the child and mother murder aside, which is, you know, kind of hard, she's also done like really, really bad stuff in general that makes you, the viewer, just hate her a lot. So just seeing her, you know, rot, literally, is a nice is a nice reward after all the shit she put us through. Speaking of, like, you know, shit she put us through, this show has really good character writing. Each character on the screen that has a name, or even just has a beyond like a minute of screen time, is important and has a conclusion of their own. Like the ending sequence of the entire show literally like wraps up everybody's like arcs. You know, the people you think that would never show up again, or like looks to have like been discarded by the narrative, suddenly comes back, and like it makes perfect sense. Like, just to take an example, like in the beginning they keep like giving, like showing us this one maid of the family, and you're like, she gets a lot of screen time for like no reason at all. And then like in the end it shows that, oh, she's actually been plotting against the family, or she's actually been like really, really jealous this entire time, so she plotted against the family for her own benefit. And you look back and like, yeah, it makes sense. Because if you look back in the show, if you rewatch it, like I have like 4 different times, you're like, oh, that's that person. This is when that was built up. This also ties in with, like, you know, the plots. The more you rewatch it, the more you realize that, oh, everything was foreshadowed. This person that you never got to see the face of in, you know, the first season, oh, that actually ended up to being the villain of the next season, or whatever. Everybody has a role in this story. Everybody has their own satisfying conclusions. There is not a single action, there is not a single character who hasn't been foreshadowed in the previous episodes. Also, badass woman. For all the gays out there, badass woman. Women. As a show who is centered around a woman, you know, and her life, badass woman is not out of the picture. Like, for example, the grandmother. Even though she doesn't really do much physically or actively, she's always there behind to support our main character, to plot for our main character, to scheme for our main character, or even to, like, shut down people who try to threaten her. Like, there are several times in the first season alone where, like, people get out of hand, people start threatening her, people start, like, saying, like, oh, if you do this, you'll be in trouble, or start, like, raising their voice and making ruckus in the family. All it takes for everybody to shut the fuck up is the grandma, like, slamming a hand on the table or, like, throwing a cup. It shuts everybody up. She commands so much respect, and it's not just her. Every single woman in this show eventually gets that moment. Every single woman, including the main character. You know, like, okay, like, not every single woman, like, 2 women at some point, you know, does, you know, pick up a sword, even though they have no idea how to use it, but start using it to threaten people, because that is what needed to be done, and they were brave enough and bold enough to do it, and convince people that somehow they knew how to use a sword, even though they probably should have never even picked one up in the first place, as a woman. And a show focused on women, you need to focus on their, you know, their relationships with other people, which they're not a sexy lamp. Thank God. None of them are. But we'll get to their relationships with other characters later. Third reason is because, oh my god, the fucking show is gorgeous! Like, these are, like, slightly higher quality promotional screenshots of the show. And every single one of the set pieces, all the furniture, all, like, the clothes and the hair accessories and everything was all handmade, custom made, just for this show. Everything you see here is all custom made. And every single place I've showed you so far are different. Each place isn't just like, oh, generic, like, ancient China, right? It isn't just generic Song Dynasty. It is, you can tell these are different places, right? this is a bit grainier screenshot because I took it straight off from the show. But you can tell this one has like slightly more elaborate, drapery or whatever. The previous one had like grids all over the place. This one seems to be a lot more dark and moodier. This is like, brand new. Look at the clothes, look at the detail. Man. Fucking, this is the one time made in China is a compliment. Because Jesus fucking Christ. But anyway, most importantly, the mothers and their relationships with other people. Now, this is like the biggest selling point, honestly, for me. Because, yes, although it is a coming of age story for the main character, from like, a sheltered, traumatized little girl to a woman who no longer has, the emotional range of a teaspoon. It's also like about the mothers who made these characters who they are. For a main character, of course, it was the dying wish of her mother, the dying philosophy of her mother, the grandmother who ended up raising her. Those are her mother figures, and she respects them a lot, and they shaped who she is. And so does every other like mother and child relationship in the story. They all tried their best to help their children grow into adults, for better or for worse. Take our season 1 and our season 2's villains, for example. Let's talk about season 1. Season 1 is, like I said before, is centered around the villainous schemes of the second wife, Lin Qing-shuang. A slight backstory about, who she is. She was born into a wealthy family. She was a noble originally, but then her dad got arrested for committing crimes, and her household got fucking wiped. Like, wiped off the map, house got burned down, everybody got sold into, like, slavery, or, became, stuff like that, shit like that. But through, like, miraculous connections, she managed to, like, plant herself in the Sheng family and managed to manipulate the father of the household to become a concubine. And honestly, she gets treated like she's the main wife. She has the same amount of respect. She has the same amount of favor, even more than the main wife of the household. But she is always aware of the fact that she is a concubine, and therefore her children will be illegitimate and therefore always be inferior to her competitor, the main wife, the first wife, the legal wife. She spends like the second half of her life, all the way until the day she dies, the moment she dies, plotting for her children, because she wants her children to be better than her. In a way, she has a superiority complex. She wants her children to she doesn't want her children to feel the same inferiority she felt when her house got destroyed, when she had to lower herself to the place of a concubine. She wants her children to be in positions of power. She wants her children to marry into good households, so then they never need to suffer the same fate as she did. But despite her best efforts, despite her bestest of intentions, it was also for herself. To prove that, an illegitimate child, a person who, comes from a disadvantaged situation, who was born into a disadvantaged situation, can still be somebody. She doesn't want her children to be looked down upon just because of her. But with her personality, she's a manipulator in like like I said, she's a manipulator. She teaches her children to be the best in the worst ways possible. Instead of telling her daughter to go find love and, maybe perchance, you'll find a guy who's like rich and powerful. She goes like, no, you will fucking pretend you two have an affair and then actually go do the affair. So then everybody in the household has to find different ways for you to get married in order for you not to have a scandal. Yeah, she teaches her children in the way that worked for her to be like her. Rich, wealthy, in a better position than she was before. So then they can be better, be rich, be wealthier, be more powerful than her. Good writing, good downfall, 10 out of 10. You want to shake her sometimes, but she's a good character. She's a good villain. Season 2 villain, however, is a little bit more complicated to talk about without talking about spoilers, so I'll summarize it the best I can. Her deal is that her older sister got married to a family who discarded her older sister as soon as they found someone else to marry who was, you know, wealthier, because the family that she got married into was fucking dirt poor. It wasn't dirt poor, they were still a normal family, but because of like bad decisions of that generation, they spent all the money they had, so they needed to basically force her older sister to off herself, or drove her to do that. Married a younger, richer woman, and then left her sister's sickly son alone to die. She, of course, didn't like this, and was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna take revenge on my sister. I'm gonna show that my family, the Qing family, we are nobles. We are better, even though we might not be as wealthy as some random merchant family that you guys chose to marry because of money. I'm gonna show that we are better than some merchant family because we are nobles. My sister didn't die in vain. Her son, my son, especially my son, is better than whatever that merchant girl can produce. Her plan works. Her plan would have worked, because her plan originally was just to drive out that merchant's son. Originally, like, make him an outcast of the family, make her reputation literally pristine. She was called the Bodhisattva of the entire capital, right? She used her reputation. She spoiled and used the merchant son's horrible reputation to drive him out of the family, and from what she thought, ruin any of his chances of ever returning to this family ever again, because that's all he ever amounted to. He was never going to be a noble because he is the son of a merchant. She wanted her son, kind of like in substitution of what her older sister's son could have been, to be the next heir to this big political seat of power. Completely ignoring the fact that her child doesn't actually want any of this. She was so focused on making sure that the pride of her family stayed strong that she completely neglected the fact that her son is a part of this new family that she just married into. Her son doesn't give a fuck about her pride. Her son just wanted to have a good relationship with his brothers, but no, she fucked it up. And so when her son ran away and like denounced her, she went insane. Her own drive for revenge drove her insane. And had, honestly, the coolest, like, downfall scene of the entire story. As it's also riding along, like, a bunch of, like, other storyline, you know, emotional climaxes. But mother and child, the relationship between that isn't just present between the villains, obviously. You know, like I said before, there's the main character and her mother and her grandmother. There is like a side story about, like, you know, the empress of the dowager empress and like the current emperor. You know, it's stories about women, their children, love and grief, and how they want to make sure that their children become better people. But sometimes things go wrong. But, let's see. In conclusion, I love this fucking drama. And Snow can attest to how much I love this fucking series. even though I did try my best, I basically spoiled the entirety of season 1 and kind of talked about season 2. It's impossible to summarize this drama. It's 78 episodes long with like, it's 78 episodes long with like 40 minutes to each episode, so it takes a fucking while to get through. But I can't recommend this series enough. Like, coming of age stories have a special place in my heart just, you know, on its own. Like, I love coming of age stories, but it's not just a coming of age story. It's also a social commentary of ancient Chinese and to some extent modern society about the struggles of being a woman without a place in the world, without a backing, without, you know, a father to defend them when they were a kid, a husband to defend them when they're married, or a son to help them, you know, after, you know, their husbands die. It's about the humanity of humans, you know, the love that mothers have for their children, and how that love can sometimes be misplaced, abused, or twisted to help their own desires, even if they, you know, even if they don't know it. It's about giving up the glory of your youth to the next generation, giving them the trust that they'll carry on your legacy even without you. It's about learning to love despite your traumas, recognizing family beyond the shared blood in your veins, and to look forward to the future even if it's different from what you might have pictured originally. This show is a masterpiece hidden behind beautiful set pieces and gorgeous, flowery prose. I don't think I'm using a repeat word, but like, and honestly, if I've piqued your interest at all, or if you think I'm full of shit, which I've gone off script, so like, I don't think anything I said made sense, but fuck it, meatball. You know, watch the first 3 episodes in one sitting and decide for yourself if it's worth going down into hell for. The end. Okay, I haven't looked at Twitch chat this entire time. If the pals have questions, now is the time to start sending them questions. I just hear clapping. Hell yeah, stream delay. Anyway, yeah, questions. I'm gonna sit here for a while and I'm gonna let my headphones charge. I should probably let my iPad charge as well, because that's probably gonna how the pals are gonna read chat. But yes. No questions. Pog ooh. Now, without further ado, I'm gonna let Cass get the fuck in the room while I like turn off window capture so I don't get doxxed. Yeah, you can come into the room, Cass. Hurry the fuck up. I'm just gonna do that. Pause the music. So then Cass can come in with her presentation. Cass, get your ass in here.
I was about to do an FBI open up bit.
FBI open up. All right.
Okay, I sent you a link on Discord. Can you click it?
You sent me a link on Discord.
On Discord.
Wonderful. This is untitled presentation.
Yeah, I titled it.
Okay, Fallout New Vegas. Wonderful. There we go.
Can you capture the whole tab so if I Google something as well, it'll show up?
Don't dox me.
I'll try not to.
Just fix some stuff so it's like positioned right, because the cropping was weird and I fucked it up. Why the fuck is it so stretched? Okay, anyway.
It's fine. Do you think I care about image quality? No.
I do. Okay. It should be for the full tab.
One way to test.
Okay, there we go. Let me just... Don't dox me.
Let me look into the other room and see if it works.
It should have worked. Actually, okay, so you don't dox me. I'm gonna do a funny really, really quick.
Put it in a private browser?
Yeah. I'm just gonna...
Also, your stream is still sharing right now, I think.
No, it isn't. I turned it off.
Oh, okay, cool.
How the fuck do I do a private tab?
You could do incognito window, or, like...
Good.
Open guest profile.
Open new incognito window. There we go.
That still has your search history, though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It just doesn't say... Okay, so you could X that out, and you could do open guest tab, and then, guest. And then I would just need to type in by hand the link there, which is gonna be
No, you can just...
copy paste onto there. Yeah,
There
okay,
we
that
go.
works. Right.
Okay, this is like mildly scuffed, but it's okay.
We're cooking. We're cooking.
We are cooking.
Because this is how the rest of them are gonna do it too.
Yeah.
We
This
cooked.
is still sharing my usual time. Okay.
You probably have to open it on the new one.
Probably. Oh my god.
Change the capture source or something.
Fucking... Okay, I'm just gonna close. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna close it. That should shut it off for the stream. We should have figured this out beforehand.
I mean, it's fine. We're cooking.
We are cooking. It's not showing up. This is wonderful.
It's fine.
Okay, technical difficulties aside, I'm just gonna redo this roast capture and
Use a
hope for the
technical
best.
difficulties music.
There
If you know, you know.
we go, found it.
Found it?
There.
Hell yeah.
I can stream. I know how to stream sometimes.
Professional streamer.
Professional fucking streamer. Anyway, this is chat. I'm gonna have chat. Also known as just the pals sitting outside.
Pals.
I'm gonna turn off low
I
battery.
also can watch on my own stream or on my phone to see chat.
You know what? Do it on your phone because the phone
Yeah.
battery's not die. Okay, have fun.
Yeah. Alright, cool.
If you want to put on music.
I can't because you might get DMCA'd apparently.
Okay, don't get me banned.
Yeah. You're getting locked out now. I have taken over Mina's room. She's being held hostage. I'm waiting for... Oh, I should pull up the chat on my phone. What's going on, guys? Today we're doing a cool presentation of Fallout New Vegas. Whoa! Alright, I can look at chat now. Womp womp. Okay, let me full screen. Fuck. What am I doing here? Full screen. Nope, full screen. That's not full screen, whatever. Good enough. Fallout New Vegas. Okay, Fallout New Vegas. Okay, for the record, for anyone watching this who does not know, I have been so ADHD lately that this only has 12 slides, and the rest is just going to be me rambling from the wiki and from Google Images. So, we are cooking. Because I got hyperfixated on something else. Because I get to ADHD. It go burr. Also, I'm Cass. Cass Cassidy. From Discord.com. Anyway, we cook now. Fallout New Vegas is a 2010 role-playing game made by published by Bethesda Studios and made by Obsidian. The Fallout series originally started in 1992? It might have been 98. 98. I want to say 98. Yeah, and the second game came out in 2000, and Bethesda purchased the series after the original third title was canceled from the studio shutting down. Also, I just realized I'm probably getting too far away from Mike. So the original studio shut down. Holy shit, it's Julia! Unless it's just supposed to be Rose.
Slight interruption.
I'm too far away from Mike?
No.
Or...
Overlay. Technical
Overlay,
issues.
oh.
Overlay issues. This entire time, nobody can see chat.
Oh. That's not good.
Okay, I'm gonna type something really, really quick to make sure chat works.
Ah. Okay, it looks like it's working.
Waiting for the thing to show up? Oh my god, where the fuck did chat go? I think we might just have to live without chat.
It wasn't on there for you either.
Something broke.
We don't
I
need
don't
chat.
know what.
We don't need chat. Anyway, Julia, you are being locked in a room. I'm forcing you to listen to me talk about Fallout New Vegas. You cannot leave. There is no exit.
What the fuck?
Always show messages.
Again.
Who ate chat?
Who the fuck hate chat.
Is it like showing up as all black or something? And
No,
no,
there should be like text here, like popping up as people chat.
chat gone.
Fuck it, chat gone.
Chat gone. We're cooking.
Fuck
They
it.
can just look on their phones.
Chat gone. Also, my fucking thing's my fucking mouse is about to die. I'll just
Who,
come back.
who the fuck needs a... Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yes. Fuck. Shit. Balls.
Boobies. Where the fuck was I? Yes. Okay, original studio. Original studio shut down, and the rights to Fallout was purchased by Bethesda Game Studios, who you might know from Skyrim. They made Fallout 3, which is a pretty popular game, but some people did not like it. And some people like New Vegas better. I'm one of those people. And they decided after the success of Fallout 3, they were going to hand off the rights to Obsidian. Obsidian was the studio was a studio made up of people from the original studio that made the original Fallout games, which leads us to Fallout New Vegas, which was made with a lot of the scrapped work from Fallout, the original Fallout 3, Fallout Van Buren. So, actually talking about Fallout. Fallout takes place in America after the apocalypse. Before the apocalypse, America was like a very 50s aesthetic, very like, you know, white picket fence, those cool but stupid looking cars, cool ass radios, probably a lot of racism, you know, America. But also, they had laser rifles. Yeah, exactly, just like current America. You get it, Julia, you get it. Julia _N_Rose at twitch.tv. Anyway, so they also had, you know, laser rifles, power armor. And I'm gonna pull up a picture of this power armor really quick, just because it looks cool. Look at this shit. Look at this. They just were walking around in this shit. This is what they use in the military. Look at this. That's from the Fallout TV show. I might talk about the Fallout TV show. We don't have time for that. I could go on a whole other rant about the Fallout TV show. It was great. Best video game adaptation after Arcane. Yeah, see, so this is like the type of technology they had. They were pretty high tech. However, it was still America, and it was very, very much like Cold War Red Scare energy 24/7. Hated communism, except Russia kind of fucked off, and it was China that was the main threat instead. And there was, you know, a Cold War against China that eventually resulted in nuclear war. And that event was known as the Great War by those who survived. Some people survived due to vaults made by Vault Tech. I should have included this beforehand. If I actually had thought this out, and had actually, you know, if I was getting graded on this or something, or paid or something, I would have, like, put this beforehand, right after this, before going into the actual game. So, Vault Tech. Vault Tech Corporation was a corporation that was that focused on making vaults to survive the apocalypse, basically. They profiteered off of the fears driven by this. And for a long time in the games, there was, I'm going to talk about this as I look up actual vaults. Does this go back? No. Mina's mouse is lame. Vault. Let's see. Someone give me, you know, like a random number. Real quick, in the chat. Someone give me a random number. Ah, shoot. Mina's mom is here. It's Namna, but, like, real. Okay. Vault 8. Ah, it's a control vault. Shit, different number. Same difference! 5, that's all I got. Okay, I'm gonna do Vault... Vault 11 is a good example. Let's do Vault 11. So, they... they would do experiments in these vaults. For example, we're looking to Vault 11. So this is one of the vaults that was constructed in the Mojave region in Nevada. Um, so the main thing here was they all had to elect an overseer that would oversee the vault and, run. Except no one met the overseer. No one saw the overseer. And the thing is, they eventually figured out that the overseer was killed whenever the person that whoever got elected was killed. So it eventually worked into, electing someone you wanted to die to be the overseer. Uh, you know, sort of dwindled out the population eventually because these were, small populations to begin with. They can't survive over that forever without going outside. There was I believe, if I'm remembering right, there was a armed coup after someone revealed the truth of the overseer and dissolved the system, and that caused everyone to kill each other because there was a coup to take back control and give in the election system. Oh, okay. Here it says the truth was revealed after the coup attempt and people died. The last survivors exited the vault, but then instead they decided to kill each other. Yeah. Hang on, I should get some Subway Surfers footage up so you guys can focus while I ramble. Here we go. Alright, this is gonna play while I talk. Do it for the vine. Alright, so, now that you have an idea of what the vaults are like, there is something else that you need to know about Vault Tech. They launched it themselves. They launched the nukes. This was revealed in the Fallout TV show that,
Just turn down the secret sound to avoid me getting banned.
Okay. Cool. Alright. Now y'all aren't gonna get banned. Where the fuck was I? Right. Vault Tech. So, can I do like a mini player thing? Oh, fuck yeah. Can I pop it out? No. I'm gonna get bored of this bit anyway at some point. So anyway, Vault Tech. Vault Tech launched the nukes because they wanted to profit off of it so much that they wanted to get investors to test the experiments, or they wanted investors to pay them to make vaults so they could get more money. And to do that, they were like, well, the investors were like, well, how do we, how do we make sure we can, make sure these experiments are run and make sure this is that all nuclear war will actually happen. And then Vault-Tech's like, we can just launch the nukes ourselves. And so something that had been hinted at through the games for years and was finally confirmed in the Fallout TV show in an amazing scene that I will not show. But Fallout TV show is great. I should have just talked about the Fallout TV show. It's a much easier way to get in. God damn it. Whatever. So I'm going to stop the Subway Surfers because we need to go back to the presentation. So, the actual game takes place in the Mojave Desert on the border of California and Nevada in the surrounding region of Las Vegas. There's a really cool map here of all the locations that I can't zoom in on because Google Slides is stupid, but it's a really cool map. I like maps. Some key locations in this, exploit. Shut up, Mina. Also, I'm 18, not 19. Loser. Some key locations in the game are the town of Good Springs, which is the starting area, the Mojave Outpost, which is sort of a big area for one of the main factions, the town of Novak, which is a decently central town that has a lot to do in it, the Hoover Dam, which is very important because the Hoover Dam also functions as a electrical plant from all the water there. And power is very important in the post-apocalypse, especially when you still have the Las Vegas Strip with surrounding areas around it. Pay no attention to the Elvis impersonators. I'll get to them later. We also have the big casino here, the Lucky 38. The Lucky 38 is a casino run by Mr. House, who we will get to later. So, getting into some of the factions, some of the main players, before we talk about the story. So, the New California Republic is a democratic faction based off of the old world government, but they have the same issues of corruption and bureaucracy leading to inaction. Like, people will just not, they'll have a problem and it'll take a year to solve, and by that time, the people are already dead because, it's a fucking apocalypse. Which is their main sort of crux, their main sort of issue, which is one of the cool things about Fallout New Vegas. There is downsides and upsides to every faction. Even the NCR, the pretty good, the typical good faction, is bad. They are portrayed to be somewhat inept at times. However, Caesar's Legion fucking sucks. Fuck Caesar's Legion. Anyone who likes Caesar's Legion can suck my... I'm not gonna finish that sentence. They are also sometimes just referred to as the Legion. They are a fascist slave state made to resemble the old Roman Republic. They're led by Caesar and have a strong emphasis on military and trade. They offer good protection to citizens and caravanners. However, women have no rights in there. And we hate sexists, and we hate slavers. So, they suck. Never side with them. If you side with them, it's the biggest red flag. If anyone talks like them, Caesar has good pizza. Caesar does not have good pizza. That is cheap pizza. That's cheap pizza. And that's all that's good about it. So, Mr. House. So, Mr. House is an enigmatic figure who resides within the Lucky 38 casino. He was a wealthy businessman before the war, owning most of the Las Vegas Strip. So, because of that, many people believe he's dead or doesn't exist. But he still runs New Vegas with a bunch of robots that, follow his orders and do everything. And fun fact about him, some fun facts about him. He's the reason that New Vegas wasn't destroyed because he bought guns that shot down the nukes whenever the nukes that were falling hit Vegas. He just shot them down so they never wouldn't hit Vegas itself. And he also was one of the investors who made sure that, the apocalypse would happen and that he would profit off of it. That is canon to the games. He shot down the nukes. If I got a bomb coming down, just shoot it down. That's the lore, bestie. So, getting to some of the smaller factions. We have the 3 casinos on the Strip. We have the Tops Casino, which is run by the chairman? No. Hang on. No, it is the chairman. It is the chairman. And one of the main enemy for the first act of the game is affiliated with them. We have the Gamora, who is very much like mobster, old-timey energy, hey, you come to on the night of my daughter's wedding, and that shit. The Ultralux, who is made up of a very fancy society oh, you're not rich enough to dine in our establishment, except the cannibals. And you can find that out in a quest, and you can reveal them, and it's pretty cool. They used to be cannibals before they were in control of the casino, but then they said, oh no, Mr. House, we're not going to be cannibals anymore. But they lied. They're still cannibals. And yeah, you can reveal that in a quest in the game. It's a pretty fun side quest. There were a lot of good side quests in New Vegas. I don't have time to talk about them all. I'm probably going to tie myself to like only 30 more, 15 or 30 more minutes of rambling, because I could take on the entire thing just talking about Fallout. I talk a lot. I talk fast. You guys have to fucking deal with it. Some other factions are the Boomers. The Boomers are very funny, because before Boomers were a big funny thing, Fallout New Vegas wrote a xenophobic faction obsessed with nukes, bombs, and weapons that will literally blow up anyone who tries to come in to their compound. Which is the Old Nellis Air Force Base, which is a real Air Force Base in Nevada. Their main quest and objective throughout the game is to restore a bomber from, you know, the World War II. I think it's like a B-52 bomber. And if you do that for them, they will show up in the final battle in their bomber, and they will bomb the enemy, whoever that may be. The Brotherhood of Steel is the main faction of New Vegas. Or not the main faction of New Vegas. They're the main faction of Fallout. They are the iconic power armor wearing, technology hoarding people. They're a cult. They are a cult that hoards technology and will kill anyone who basically doesn't have their technology. Or has their technology and they're not trusted with it, because they believe technology must be preserved and protected by them and them alone. So, the actual fucking story. So in the beginning, you play a courier, a mailman. You're hired to deliver a package by Mr. House. The package is a platinum chip, which you don't know what is. You don't know the significance of it yet. And I'm gonna just play the intro because it just needs to be experienced. And there should not be DMCA music in this section, so I'm gonna go ahead and unmute and let it play.
Guess who's
It's only
waking
like a
up
minute.
over here?
Time to cash out.
Also, I'll give you $5 if you can recognize who the person voicing the dude in the white suit is.
People without looking them in the face. But I ain't a fink. Dig. You've made your last delivery, kid. Sorry you got twisted up in this scene. From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
So yeah, the game starts with you getting shot in the fucking head, which is cool as shit. So now here's the part where I go entirely off script, because I have no script, which means I'll probably stop rambling soon. But I want to give everyone a little more taste of what Fallout can be. So, the main story of New Vegas after that, you wake up in Good Springs, which serves as the main hub for the, like the first little level. You are brought back to life by a doctor named Dr. Mitchell, and you are given freedom to go wherever you want with one singular goal: track down the man who shot you in the head. You don't know why you were killed, you don't even know what you were carrying, why it was so important. You are just left to find information and track him down. One of the robots that rescued you, that just went away, okay. One of the robots that rescued you was this dude. He is a Securitron, one of the robots controlled by Mr. House. He is a cowboy robot who has very silly voice, like, "Oh, howdy, partner. Welcome to Good Springs," stuff like that. Yeah. And so as you track down information about the man who killed you, you find some cool locations, like, Prim. which has, let's see if I can see it. Yeah, it's a hotel with a roller coaster on it, and across from it, the main hotel where most of the people are hiding because the place has been ransacked. There is a words. There is a Bonnie and Clyde um reference thing. Uh and there's also a cowboy robot you can make become the sheriff of the town. He has cowboy boots and a little hat, and his name is Prim Slim. Brilliant. Wonderful. You also go to Novak, as mentioned before, which has a dinosaur statue with a sniper out of it. You can find an ex-NCR sniper there whose wife was killed by the Legion, supposedly. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I'm gonna talk less about the story because I don't want to spoil much more of the story. I think the premise I've set up is interesting enough. It starts with you being fucking dead. That's cool as shit. I'm gonna show off some of the creatures. So, these are mutated geckos. They're silly little guys. Who the hell is Galaxy Home? I don't know you. Hi. I'm rambling about Fallout New Vegas. If you want to meet as friends, deal with it. If you're not, deal with it. So these are geckos. They're the main starter enemy in Fallout. Then the main starter enemy in Fallout. They vibe. Some of them shoot fire, fun fact. What are some other silly enemies? Deathclaws are a pretty iconic enemy. The ones in New Vegas look like this. They are mutated from geckos. They are very dangerous, very deadly. The actual most deadly enemy in the game, though, is a Cazador. These are mutated bugs, basically, that will poison you and break your legs, and they fly super fast. They suck. These things are giant, by the way, in game. They are like the size of the player. So, yeah. Hope you don't mind flies. BG3 and suggestions, they know what the fuck I am, damn it. Yeah, so that's some of the enemies. And I also want to show off, as you can see, Fallout New Vegas landscape, normally kind of looks a bit shit. The game came out in 2010 and it was dated in 2010. However, look at this. This is just one mod from Nexus Mods. And that's the beauty of Fallout New Vegas. How many mods there are. You can completely modernize the game, almost, with all these mods. Let's also look up... We're gonna look up Nuts Landscapes. Look at this. Look at these screenshots. Base game? So, just some examples of the base game. That are changed by this. Just this one texture overhaul. Beautiful. Beautiful change. And now I'm gonna ramble about some of the cool things about Fallout. Really quick. There's representation in it. There is one companion in particular who is very silly. She is a Brotherhood of Steel Knight scribe who has an ex-girlfriend that her old mentor made leave the Brotherhood, and now she goes on a death quest, or is on a death quest to kill Veronica's old mentor, and you get to see that story play out throughout the course of the DLCs of this game, and the DLC is perfect, amazing, beautiful. Her main story is basically about getting kicked out of the Brotherhood and having to leave her family behind, which is, kind of fucked up. There's also there's gay characters. There's Thinking. The writing is just really good. I know it's not already 6:30. I said I'm gonna stop at 6:30, but I can stop now. I guess I was just gonna stop at 6:30. I'll go ahead and stop now. Yeah. The end. Goodbye. I die. But yeah, play Fallout. If you like Fallout, ask me how to mod it and get it all set up to be modern. Or just watch me play it sometime. I will stream it. I explode now. Thank you all for listening to me. Rhea next. Rhea Coke.
Yippee. Did you send me the link?
No, I don't have a link.
Are you just gonna ramble?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Alright. Let me make sure the boss is gonna be charged then.
Yippee. Wow.
Die in the middle of the presentation. There we go. It might be a bit heavy. Alright.
Yippee.
I think. Oh, is it working? Sure hope it is.
What else is working?
It is working, but like it should be like lighting up in like colors. If it's being charged. There it is.
Yay.
It's rainbow now.
It's gay.
It's gay. Just like us. I don't know.
Oh my god. Hello, I'm Ria Riover. I have now taken control of the stream. This is my stream now. And you're all gonna hear me talk about my favorite Sanrio character. What's his name? Cinema Roll. I can spell. Ooh, merch. Sorry, I can't get distracted. Okay, so who even is this Cinema Roll character? Well, it's your laughter. He's a Sanrio character. We all know Sanrio, the company behind Hello Kitty. Cinema Roll is one of Hello Kitty's friends. But well, why do we care about Cinema Roll? Why do I care about Cinema Roll? Well, for starters, I mean, look at him. Just like take a good look at. Well, I guess we're not taking that good of a look at him. That's why we have a backup plan. Now we can look at him. Oh yeah, there we go. That's nice and visible. So here we have Cinema Roll. We can now. You might be asking, before what is Cinema Roll? Is he a bunny? Is he a dog? Well, he's a dog. Even though he doesn't look like it, he is in fact a puppy. He is known as the long-eared wonder pup, given the fact that he has long ears and he's a pup. He is also given his name Cinema Roll because of his Cinema Roll tail. It's cinnamon roll tail. It's shaped like a cinnamon roll. Which is how he got his name. Like story-wise, obviously, because it's all part of Sanrio's plot to make you fall in love with this little guy. They got me, and goddamn, I'm gonna make sure they get you too. So, as we can see here on the wiki, we can see that he was created in 2001 by Miyuki Okumura, but officially debuted in 2002. Something that should be noted about Cinema Roll and what makes him like special in a way that makes him stand out from the other Sanrio characters is that his like signature color as we can see here, is blue. Which wasn't something that Sanrio was like a huge fan of at first, because they were like, blue? No, blue is for boys. We're trying to gain little girls to like our things. That that didn't sound really right. The audience is young girls, obviously. So they're like, no, they're not gonna like blue. And then the creator was like, let me cook. And cook the creator did, because Cinnamoroll ended up becoming one of the most popular Sanrio characters, given especially the fact that he is the color blue, and it's something that stood out to people. And also, well, logically, blue is a pretty popular color. Of course, that's not the only reason why he became popular, but it was definitely a contributing factor. The fact that he was a bit more unique than the other characters. And you're probably asking, but why don't I see Cinnamoroll that often with Hello Kitty? I've never heard of this little guy before. Well, that's because Cinnamoroll has friends other than just Hello Kitty. Whoa, crazy, I know. One of the most, like, known friends of his, nope, wrong one. Hold on. Are you kidding me? Why can't, hold on. Please. Okay, there, no, dang it, I forgot. Okay, hold on. There we go. Milk is one of Cinnamoroll's friends. And you're probably like, oh, but isn't that just baby Cinnamoroll? No, they're separate characters. Crazy, I know. But Milk is just a little baby who is often depicted with Cinnamoroll, as we can see here. They're besties. Who else forms part of Cinnamoroll's friend group? Well, if this thing would load, okay, okay, no, this isn't, it's just fine. Okay, there we go. Who else are Cinnamoroll's friends? Well, I know the center is Milk, but right now we're paying attention to all of Cinnamoroll's friends. So this is the main friend group. So we have Cinnamoroll, we have Milk, and then we have, sorry, I swear I know their names, but I'm kind of tired and I have a massive headache right now, so I am going to just straight up read. Mocha, Espresso, Chiffon, and Cappuccino. As you can see, they all have, like, coffee, cafe, related names. Why is the... hold on. Is it this one? Okay, here we go. We have Chiffon, one of Cinnamoroll's friends. Then we have Cappuccino. That's still Milk. Hold on. Good lord. Espresso over here, little guy. Why did the Mocha... Okay, there we go. Mocha. Mocha, I would argue, is Cinnamoroll's second most popular friend. Kind of competing a bit with Milk. Given that they are... Oh, see? Oh my god, here we have her and Milk. But given that she's kind of sometimes shown as not necessarily romantic interest, but just a close friend of Cinnamoroll's, this doesn't really prove my point. And this doesn't either, but okay, well, they are kind of like shipped together, but it's not official, if that makes sense. Anyway, so yeah, here we have Cinnamoroll with all his best friends, and you might be wondering, well, why is everyone named, like, cafe-related, names? Well, that is because they all work at the Cinnamoroll Cafe. Sorry, cafe, frick. Hold on. I had cafe. Hold on. I did not just forget the name of, hold on. Let me cook. This is not the same wiki page I was looking at before. Give me like 2 sec. Is it Cafe Cinnamon? There we go. Oh my god. I swear I'm a cinnamon roll fan. I'm just so out of it right now. At Cafe Cinnamon, which is where they all work at, and where everyone else worked at before meeting Cinnamoroll. And the human, because there is a human involved in all of this, who owns the cafe, is known as Miss Anna. Now I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of Miss Anna, because probably Google's not gonna let me, because apparently everything is against me. What was it? Right, Miss Anna. Ugh. Nope. I can spell. Here we go. We have Anna. She was the one who originally found Cinnamoroll. We know this because of the movie, the Cinnamoroll movie. There it is, Cinnamoroll the movie. Hold on. Cinnamoroll. I'm not gonna actually play the movie. I just want to like show. Okay, so here we have Cinnamoroll's origin story. He was born like in the sky. He is the son of, this is Milk's page. Okay, there you go. He is the son of the sky and the sun, with the sky being his mother and the sun being his father. Here we can see him literally just being born. Yay! I'm not playing the actual thing because I don't know if it's copyrighted or not, so I'm just gonna quickly let me cook. Please be born quickly. Okay, there we go. Here we have, sorry, I heard footsteps, I got scared. Here we have Cinnamoroll being born up in the clouds. Basically, he was just goofing around one day, the day of his birth, until he kind of goofed a little too close to the sun, and he started falling and falling all the way to the ground. That's Chowder. We don't have to worry about Chowder right now. But yeah, he eventually fell into Miss Anna's like scooter box thing, and there's a Cinnamoroll tail. Oh my god, it's just what I was saying. Sorry, he's just really cute. I get all giggly. Here we, oh my god, look at him. Okay, I swear I'm paying attention to my own presentation. Okay, here we have Cinnamoroll. And eventually Miss Anna brings him to the cafe she works at, where he meets all of his soon-to-be friends. And here we see, your cute little tail looks like a Cinnamoroll. That's how he got his name, because he didn't have a name prior to this. And this is Chowder. Chowder, he's a bit of a hater, because he just assumed that Cinnamoroll was this dangerous creature solely because he fell from the sky. But well, we eventually learned that like he has a crush on Miss Anna. Or I mean, I don't know if we would say a crush, but just like a lot of admiration, love, and care for Miss Anna, even though he's not a part of the cafe yet. And so he is overprotective of her. In an attempt to be overprotective, he started casting spells to make things kind of go wrong while they're trying to make some Cinnamorolls for each other. To kind of like prove like, see, he's trouble. But really all he did was just like goof up over and over again, just like, you know, comic relief kind of character. And then he creates a dough monster, and they're like, oh no, the dough monster. Basically this dough monster is like going after Cinnamoroll at first, but then Miss Anna's like, no, I'll save him. And then during this, Miss Anna gets captured by the dough monster, and she gets consumed. They all get consumed. They are inside the belly of the beast, bro. So then they all see, and they're like, Chowder, you goober, you fool, you ruffian, this is all your fault. And he was like, oh yeah, but this isn't what I wanted to happen. So basically they all go on a quest to find Miss Anna, and you know, they all like start to get along. Meanwhile, we see Miss Anna is in a wedding dress, and we're like, what? Why is she here? Basically, the dome monster wants to marry Miss Anna. I know that the plot is a bit weird, but just stay with me. Wants to marry Miss Anna. So she's basically like a captured princess. We can see her say, help, here. So then everyone tries to go save Miss Anna. But you know, it's just not as easy as that. And they were about to get cooked alive, by the way. But eventually they managed to escape. Meanwhile, Miss Anna tries to escape herself. But it's just not working out for her. Eventually, hold on. That's okay. Here we go. Eventually we get the revelation as to why the dough monster wants to eat Miss Anna. Or not eat, I mean marry. I mean, the dough monster already ate Miss Anna. I mean marry Miss Anna. It's because he was created out of Chowder's true feelings, as we can see here. This is like an evil version of Chowder, or no, not evil, just like a bit twisted version. So basically, because Chowder created this dough monster, the dough monster consequently loves Miss Anna, but it's in a more like emphasized way, if that makes sense, which causes him to do these things such as try to get her to marry him. And anyways, they eventually infiltrate the castle with the wedding, and then everyone's like, wait, hold on, isn't that you, Chowder? And Chowder's like, huh? Oh, that's not me, bro. That's not me. And they're like, dude, he looks exactly like you. It's like, nuh-uh. Anyway, so this guy starts just, like, yapping, about, like, oh, Miss Anna, I love Miss Anna. She's my queen. And it's all just, like, very embarrassing for Chowder because he's like, bro. Anyway, so they both start fighting. And what was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So they both start fighting about like, see, you're not the real Chowder, you're not me. I would never do this to Miss Anna. And then womp womp womp, he reveals his true form as, you guessed it, the dough monster, which we all knew he was all along. Anyway, he starts doing like more extreme things. Everyone's in trouble. Miss Anna disappeared again. So then they tried to leave, and King Kong style, Miss Anna is just captured above the castle. And they're like, oh no, we have to destroy this guy. And what do? They start throwing like cake bits at him. And dude falls and trips like a freaking dummy. But then he starts melting, which causes like all of them to get stuck. And oh my god, Cappuccino? Sorry, I swear I remember this movie. I just don't remember why he's down there. Oh, okay. I remember now. So basically Cappuccino starts munching away. I don't know if these are candy canes or candles, but bro's munching either way. To kind of get the monster to fall down. Because those were like the supports. Anyway, the monster falls down and drops Miss Anna. And Miss Anna's like, help! Because she's about to die. The dough monsters just fell all the way. Eventually Miss Anna falls, and then Cinnamoroll comes to save the day. You might be wondering why does he have these long ass ears? And that's because he uses them to fly, bro. He can fly. And so he uses his ears to propel himself upwards and save Miss Anna. But then, oh no, the monster! He's coming in for seconds. He's coming in for more. But they eventually manage to escape, and there's like these beautiful like little song. It's all super nice, super silly. Um, and everyone is like, "Oh my God, Chowder, yay!" I'm sorry, not Chowder. Oh my God, Miss Anna, yay, she's safe. Um, and so everyone is happy. We learn about the power of family and friendship, and they eventually escape the Doughy realm. And they're like, "Oh my God, we're back at the cafe." And then they're like, "Oh my God, everything's okay." And then of course Chowder's happy, like that everyone's okay, especially Miss Anna, obviously. Of course, it was kind of his fault in the first place, obviously, but he explains that he was just trying to protect Miss Anna from Cinnamoroll because he thought that Cinnamoroll was a threat. And Miss Anna's like, "Oh, bestie, don't worry, bestie. Cinnamoroll's cool. We're cool like that." And Miss Anna, being Miss Anna, the friggin' angel that she is, she understands like Chowder's intentions, and she's like, "Well, we had fun, didn't we?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, I guess." So anyway, they're like, "Okay, let's finish making the cinnamon we were making." But Chowder's like, awkward. I guess I should like dip. But then, Cinnamoroll is like, Chowder, my bestie, join us. And then Chowder's like, "What? I'm your friend?" Because we're all friends. Like, again, power, magic of friendship. And they all, "Oh, look at my baby. He's so happy." Anyway, they all become friends, at the Cafe Cinnamon. And that's just really long credits, but it's basically, see, all of them, they're friends, they're happy, and there's Hello Kitty to prove that she's a part of this still, technically. And it's playing like, oh, that's Batsmaru, another Sanrio character. Anyway, it's just basically to establish that, like, hey, Sanrio is still relevant. My Melody, Pumpurin, and see, now they're I love you, you're my friend. They're all besties. They're all friends now. See? What a beautiful story. Anyway, that's Cinnamoroll's origin story. I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I do want to mention a few more things before I allow myself to be kidnapped into the Shadow Realm. What was I gonna do? Okay, yeah, Cinnamoroll has been part of several collaborations, such as this collaboration with Build-A-Bear, which is one of my favorite ones, because look at the size of that thing! Like, bro, that is ultimate cuddling size! And the one I have is a smaller version, like normal Build-A-Bear size Cinnamoroll. And he's got these cute little PJs and everything, and he's so beautiful. But anyway, yeah, he's done a lot of collabs, especially with, like, forgive my example, but this is the first thing that I can, like, think of. Sanrio has done collabs with, a lot of, like, Japanese companies, like, video game companies and everything. One of these companies, being Spike Chunsoft, aka the ones, who own Danganronpa. Curse example, I know, please forgive me. But anyway, here we have, like, every character was assigned to a different... Every Sanrio character was assigned to a different Danganronpa character. And Cinnamoroll was assigned to my favorite character, Nagito, who I would be rambling on about if it weren't for the fact that I'm a bit more hyperfixated on Cinnamoroll now than I was, like, I don't know, 2 years ago or something. So if I had done this presentation like 2 years ago, would have been completely different, all about Nagito, bro. Anyway, we also have Makoto, who was also assigned Cinnamoroll because they are both the respective lucky students of their games. Makoto's from the first game, Nagitos from the second game, they're supposed to serve as kind of like, not parallels, more like foils in a way. Don't worry about that too much. I just wanted to show that like Cinnamoroll is like popular outside of just like the world of Sanrio. And what am I doing? Okay. And here we have more Cinnamoroll merch because you can never have enough. There's also something I wanted to mention. Where is this? There's like a little not different Cinnamoroll. Hold on. Where is it? I hope it's in trivia. If it's not, I'm gonna be in big trouble. See, y'all, you can't procrastinate when it comes to silly things, because then they can't be as silly as you wanted it to be. So basically, I think what we should learn from this quote-unquote presentation of mine is don't leave things to the last minute and then not do them at all. I did not make a presentation at all, because reasons, none your business. Well, I mean, I already said why, but it's none of the stream's business. Where is it? Okay, I swear, it's something called like please. Here it is. Cinnamoroll. There we go. I got it. I remember. So then basically this was like a sub-brand to Cinnamoroll. Well, the Cinnamoroll brand. Or the Cinnamoroll universe. Basically in this alternate timeline, Cinnamon never met Anna. Miss Anna, who we met before. And so basically, the I in Cinnamoroll stands for both I, myself, and love. I, meaning love in Japanese. And basically this Cinnamon, promotes self-love and care, with busy adults, and he's aimed at like, a bit of an older audience. So here we see he has a smartphone. Whoa! To kind of like represent this whole thing. And here we have a few illustrations of him. He's a bit more simple, a bit more chill. And yeah, it's just something I wanted to mention because I thought it was pretty interesting, and I didn't know until I was heavily hyperfixated on him that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read the whole wiki. And well, if you love Cinnamoroll, after, oh my god, he's so cute. Okay, sorry. If you love Cinnamoroll or want to get know more about him, he does appear in a show called Hello Kitty and Friends Super Cute Adventures. These are screenshots of him in said was it web series. There you go. I know names. And basically he's a sweetheart. I think, see, all his friends love him, bro. Like come on. This is all from Hello Kitty and Friends Super Cute Adventures, by the way. What was I gonna say? Oh, so yeah. Anyway, that's basically it, I guess. Oh, obviously, the main thing I should have mentioned, his birthday is March 6th. I think that's pretty basic information to know. I'm just trying to see if I'm not missing anything. Oh, also he's a guy, which is something a lot of people don't know. Because he's like both depicted in feminine and masculine clothes. But we stand like that amazing gender expression. But yeah, he's a little guy. He's literally a little guy. I think that's it. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's enough rambling. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to my, I was gonna say TED Talk, as a joke, but honestly, this really was kind of a TED Talk, except I don't think I inspired anyone, in a motivational way. I think I just rambled on about a little character I love and called it a day. I don't know. I hope this brought a little joy, a little giggle into your lives. I hope that's what you take out of this, and also that Stan Cinema Roll, I guess. But so yeah, thank you.
Alright.
Right, it works.
It probably will.
Yeah, I turned it into like a PowerPoint online document, so it should just work on the
It
browser.
should. Okay.
It should just...
Oh, it's on OneDrive. There we go. Alright.
The font is wrong, but it's fine.
It works.
It's
Alright.
fine.
Everything works out. I'm gonna close my AC pretty much. I haven't had it on for a while.
I had a font for this, but it's fine. It doesn't work. It's okay.
Well.
Oh well.
Alright.
Fuck it, I
Do you
guess.
want like music or?
Nah.
Alright.
Should I just slideshow or? Because it's just
I
presentation.
think it's present, right?
I don't know. Does it... Okay, sure. Sick. Yeah, I had like like the font from the game for this, but I guess PowerPoint Online is just stupid. It's fine. It works. So this is my presentation about Spider-Man, but specifically the Insomniac game Spider-Man, because I've played like all of those games, including all of the DLC, and it's just my favorite like iteration of Spider-Man that there is. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna talk a bit about the games itself, then I'm just gonna go through all the characters, and then I'm just gonna ramble about like the game. Just whatever comes to mind. So yeah. What is Insomniac Spider-Man? I just wrote everything down, by the way, just in case. I don't know. Anyway, it's just like at this point it's kind of like a trilogy, even though the latest game is called Spider-Man 2. It's released for PlayStation. Some of them are released for PC. Original storyline. It does take some inspiration from the comics, but it is largely like just completely original. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite games ever, because you know, Spider-Man. It was released in 2008 for the PlayStation 4, released with 3 DLC. And then Miles Morales was supposed to be a DLC, got turned into a standalone game instead because Sony is stupid. And then Spider-Man 2 came out, and we were supposed to have DLC, but then Insomniac got hit with like a massive like leak, like hack attack, which exposed like the entire company's like roadmap, personal details of employees, like everything, which, you know, and then Sony did layoffs as well, so we'll have to wait for the DLC. Anyway, Spider-Man Remastered, which originally came out in 2018, got remastered in 2020. This is just like a standard Peter Parker-ish Spider-Man story. So basically you start off, you arrest Kingpin. This sets up a whole bunch of stuff to happen in the game, which you then have to fix. Peter works for Otto Octavius. If you don't know who that is, I will get into that in a second. Yeah, things start to go bad. Terrorism. And you know, you have to fix it because you're Spider-Man and New York is your city. Because yes, demons I will also get into. Mr. Negative I will get into. Yeah, I'll get into all the characters. So we're gonna just start off with the main guy, my big boy, my little guy. Voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. I love Yuri Lowenthal. If you know me, then you know I love Yuri Lowenthal. Um, so he's basically like just your average Spider-Man, except he's not so much like a chemist that he usually is in other iterations, or a physicist, in which more so an engineer, which is how he got to work with like Otto Octavius. Um, he's been Spider-Man for a good few years now. Um, he works at Feast, which is like the organization which his aunt runs, which I'll also get into. Um, he's just like the average Spider-Man personality-wise. He will make jokes at you. Um, like I don't have any clips because I am lazy. But he'll say stuff like, I don't remember, but they're all pretty funny. He'll make fun of Kingpin for erasing his search history. So, it's he's a funny little guy. Um, the responsibilities of the city are kind of like dawning on him, so it's kind of difficult. But yeah, overall, he's just a silly little guy. Then of course you got MJ. She's a youngest minor journalist. She tries to go after the stories. She is in a relationship with Peter, except it's kind of shaky. Like they're on the verge of a breakup, but they're not like breaking up. Um, she's like sad that she doesn't really get to come along with like superhero stuff, despite being like a normal human. Which kind of puts her in a lot of dangerous situations, but she usually gets out decently well. Um, but yeah, it does put like pressure on the relationship, and they do kind of break up at some point. It's like a whole text conversation of like, oh yeah, we need a break and stuff. But they do get back together because like it's MJ. It's his girlfriend. They love stuff. I'm Arrow Ace. I don't know. Then of course you got May Parker. She runs Feast. She's old. She's I would say feisty. Like she doesn't take any shit. Um, yeah, she doesn't do a whole lot in the game. She's mostly just like a support character. I know I said she's an important character at the start of the game, but more so as it did like a background support. Like she doesn't do anything, if that makes sense. Um, she's just kind of there as like important plot points, I guess. Um, Jefferson Davis, he dies, but he does help Spider-Man. Um, Pretty cool guy. Too bad he died, but it does make for some banger character development for another character, which you probably know who that is if you watched like any Spider-Man content in the last like 5 years. Um, yeah, he helped uncover like a setup for an attack, which in the end doesn't really help because he dies in a terrorist attack. But yeah, character development, which brings me to character development. Um, so Miles is just a guy. Uh, um, he does eventually go to Feast, which is where he comes in contact with like MJ and stuff, and like Peter. Um, but yeah, his dad dies. He gets traumatized. He's just a guy. He does get bitten by the spider eventually, but that's like at the end of the game. It's like an after credits kind of thing. Um, he's not that important in this game yet. He's just there to show you like, oh yeah, Miles is gonna be a thing. And then there's Yuri Watanabe, which fun fact is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal's wife. So that's pretty cool. She's just like a detective slash cop, who's pretty close with Spider-Man. Um, I wouldn't say she hates him, but there's this bit that Peter has, which is Spider Cop, and sometimes if you listen to the dialogue, it feels like she just wants to rip off his head. Um, she obviously doesn't know who Spider-Man is, but they're like pretty good friends. She's not huge in this game yet, so I'll just, you know. And then Otto Octavius, if you didn't know, Doc Ock. He starts off as a relatively normal guy, but like the project that they're working on is supposed to help people like prosthetic arms and stuff. But the neural interface, he tests it on himself because his lab is like him and Peter, so he doesn't really have any test subjects. But the arms start taking a toll on him mentally, and he's also like physically degrading in some aspect. And like once a experiment goes wrong, he's like immediately shut down by Norman Osborn, which he already hates because he used to work for Norman Osborn, but then got fired or something. It's not really like hugely explained, but either way, Otto hates Norman. And then, you know, Doc Ock happens. And then he uses what's supposed to be a medicine, which is actually a bioweapon, I guess, because blood. To just kill as many people as possible and then blame Norman for it. He's a bit, fucked in the head. It's fine. It makes more sense in the game. I'm just rambling. And then you have Norman Osborn himself. He is not Green Goblin yet. Maybe, who knows? He's just like your average rich guy who's also apparently mayor. Kind of an ass, but also sometimes nice. You save him like 3 times or something, even though he probably doesn't deserve it. But it is what it is. Then you have the big boy, Mr. 99% pure muscle mass himself. He's the first boss you fight. He's not the first enemy, but he is the first boss. And he's like trying to escape a big arrest, which is also where like the thing where Peter makes fun of him erasing his search history comes from, because he's like trying to wipe his records so he can like get away. Once he's arrested, it leaves like a power vacuum, which allows for other people or other villains to kind of take over his place, which should be yes. Mr. Negative. Originally, I actually thought he was an original character, but then it just turns out he was a comics character all along. Which I'll say right now, I'm not a comics nerd. Like, I'm very specifically focused on either Insomniac Spider-Man or like Spider-Verse Spider-Man. So I'm not that knowledgeable, but he is kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde situation, except he's like fully conscious on both personalities. So he was experimented on for reasons and then just got like negative powers, which can kind of like brainwash people into becoming their worst selves and carrying out his will. Now either you can be normally affected, or you can be given a demon mask, which turns you into a quote unquote demon. And at this, if you get like the demon mask, you'll gain like powers similar to him, but maybe like a bit more toned back. But either way, he just like takes over people's bodies, and that's his whole thing. And then he carries out terrorist attacks just to piss off Norman Osborn, because I don't know. Then there's this guy, favorite guy, silly dude. He robs banks. He is technically a villain, but like he's not evil. He's just vibing, to be honest. Like, he robs a bank in a game, you arrest him, and then he's pretty much just there. The interactions are pretty funny. Like, he just like blows Spider-Man through a bank vault, like a closed bank vault. So fun times. Sinister Six, I put these together because, like, aside from Otto and Martin Lee, they just do not have lore. It's just like, oh yeah, Sinister Six, these villains just broke out of like super jail because of like Mr. Negative brainwashing the guards or something. Um, their only purpose in this game is just to cause chaos. You beat them relatively quickly. Like I'm pretty sure it's like one big mission where it's just like, oh, you 2v1 Electro and Vulture, and then you 2v1 Rhino and Scorpion, and then you put them back in prison, and fun times. Like the only real bosses are like Mr. Negative and Doc Ock. But yeah. Taskmaster's also there. I just wanted to include him because like he's played up to be like this cool character, but once you actually fight him, you can beat him in like 5 seconds. And then afterwards, he'll still like act tough as if you didn't just like yeet him off a building and then just won the fight. He tries to hire Peter for like some mercenary group. Peter declines because I don't know, and then you just don't hear from him again. So it's pretty funny character. Lore rambles. I'm just gonna spout random stuff about the game that I know. So fun fact, if you didn't know, there used, or I think used to be, or still is, a Easter egg in this game where on a movie theater, where like the text normally displays like the movies that are playing, they put in a marriage proposal, except the girl broke up with the guy like maybe a week before the game came out, but the proposal was still in the game. So not only like did the guy lose the girl of his dreams, but he like was also reminded of it in the game for like months, if not like years. Um, what else? I mean, hmm. Well, the face for Peter also got replaced at some point, and the fans were not happy about it, and I think it's stupid because the new face looks fine. You've seen it before, it looks fine. Um, and yeah, this game also got nominated for like Game of the Year, Lost, which is kind of a theme with these games. Um, so yeah, that's fun. Anyway, then there's the DLC. I won't dwell on this too long. Basically what happens is after you like defeat like Otto Octavius, Martin Lee, all that stuff, there's another villain who's like, my turn, and he just fucking kills a guy. Like it's not on screen, but like you see the dead body on screen. And then like Yuri has like a mental breakdown and just goes off the grid, and you just don't hear from her again. Um, so that's fun. Um, so one of the main-ish characters is Felicia Hardy. Um, if you're attracted to women in any way, you'll probably have a crush on her. Um, she basically comes in like, hey, remember when we used to date? So it turns out I'm pregnant and it might be your kid. And Peter's like, what the fuck? And then she's like, I have this debt with like the new big bad boy, and like they're coming to get me. So, Jesus, it's like you need to help me. Peter's like, okay, for the sake of possibly our baby. Um, but yeah, it's Felicia Hardy. Spoilers ahead. She lied. She's just manipulating him because that's what she does. Just silly goofy, and then she quote unquote dies in an explosion. But it's like one of those things where it's like, if you don't see the body, then they're probably not dead, and you don't see the body, so she's probably not dead. Then there's this guy with a forehead so big you could probably project this entire stream on it if it weren't for those giant cracks in his head. Um, he's just there, and then he becomes a cyborg that you fight, like a fucking mech looking ass. I would have added a picture, but like I said, I'm lazy and I just want to ramble. And then there's this girl who, if you're also attracted to girls in some way, you might have a crush on. Um, she's just there as like an antagonist, not villain, turned like supporting character, kind of character. Like she and her like her task force at first are like trying to arrest you for something, but then it's like, hey, maybe we should take down the actual bad guy, and then it's like, okay, cool, and then you just team up, I guess, which is fun. She's like one of the few like non-super powered characters that has actually managed to like lay hands on like Spider-Man. Because I don't know, plot, I guess. Um, so then we get to the technically fourth DLC, because like City Never Sleeps is like one big DLC split up in three little DLCs, and then this was supposed to be like the fourth DLC, but Sony was stupid and was like, we need a new Spider-Man standalone game. So they were like, fine, we'll just make Miles a standalone game. So basically, Peter goes on vacation, Miles takes over as like the main Spider-Man, makes his own suit, has a whole montage. But while that's happening, there's like this new company called Roxxon, which is like an energy company, but they're kind of shady and they're kind of asses because like you can see those army guys in the back, like they just casually work for an energy company. Like, why does an energy company need like fully armored soldiers with like plasma rifles? Um, so, um, while that's happening, there's also like a new rebel group which is trying to take down Roxxon, but they kind of don't do a good job at it while trying to also like keep people alive. Um, so yeah, as like the new Spider-Man, it's like, character development. Um, so obviously you got Miles, he's Spider-Man now, it's official. Suit goes pretty hard. Um, yeah, he has to like balance like different things like his family life, because at this point his mom doesn't yet know that he's Spider-Man. She will learn, but she doesn't yet at like the beginning of the game. Um, and you kind of have to like uncover the truth. You kind of have to uncover the truth about like what's going on. Like you break into facilities, you something was just yelled. I could not understand what it was. Um. Anyway, Rio, Miles's mom, which people apparently have a crush on. I can kind of understand it, not my type, but um, she's running for councilwoman for I forgot what district. It's going pretty well. Um, one of her rallies gets like interrupted by the rebel group. Uh, she's just there in the background. She learns that Smiles is Spider-Man eventually. Fun stuff. Not a huge character, but still like important support character in the same way that like May was a support character for Peter in like the first game. Uh, and there's Aaron Davis, which you will probably also recognize. He's a quote unquote ex-criminal. He's not an ex-criminal, he's still just a criminal. He like knows about Miles' secret identity because like Miles did some stuff, it was in the news, and he was like, oh, like he literally just says like, I recognized your moves from when we played basketball when you were a kid. And it's like, sure, because that makes sense. So he knows that Miles is Spider-Man. He invites him over. And then eventually, when like things get tough, he tries to help Miles, but then he just decides to lock him up. I guess for reasons. They have a fight. Miles wins, of course, and then he's like, shit. He does get a redemption arc. Um, kind of, pretty much. So yeah, he's decent. He's okay. He's, I don't know. He could be better, you know. Um, and then there's Genki Lee. He's like just learning that like Miles is Spider-Man. Um, he's his best friend. He's the guy in the chair. Um, he's a pretty decent hacker. Um, but like he's still just like a kid. Like he's not perfect, but he's good enough for like the situation that Miles is in. Um, then there's Finn. She's like the villain, but not the villain, but still like the antagonist. She's the leader of the rebel group that's like just killing people for the sake of revenge. She's Miles' old best friend. Um, they lost contact, and then she just went on a rampage, I guess, because her brother died. Um, and that's her brother. Um, like the power plant that they were like working on at like radiation and stuff, which was like killing the scientists. And then the actual evil bad guy was like, "Oh, nobody will care about a few engineers or something like that." And she was like, "Nah." Um. So then, you know, she started killing people because he died. Then he's like also a friend of Miles and stuff. It's fun. Anyway, capitalism. This guy's just capitalism. He's an asshole. He's manipulative, snivy, or whatever the word is. Um, manipulates anyone into doing anything. Um, doesn't actually do any of the fighting himself. He just sends anyone else, including Rhino, which should be yes. So that's the Rhino now. He's red now, which means that he's upgraded. Um, you beat him in like one fight, but he's upgraded now. Um, he's a pain in the ass, still a dick. Um, he's basically just like a ploy, I guess. He's just annoying. So I'll just move on. Haley Cooper, potential love interest. They have some cute interactions. She gives Miles her scarf and a hat at some point, which then becomes like a suit that you can wear whenever you want. Because this story is taking place around like Christmas time, so everything's like snowy and stuff. Um, they're pretty cute together. She's deaf. She speaks using ASL. Um, and like people interact with her using ASL as well, which is nice. Um, so she's pretty cool. She's an artist as well, so you know, pop off queen. So more lore rambles. Like I said, this game was supposed to be DLC, but then like Sony was like, nah, we need another Spider-Man game. So then they made it like standalone. There is not a failed marriage proposal in this, luckily. Um, but there is a glitch in the game where if you do something very specific, you can turn Miles into a portable heater, which sounds like it's just some random fact, but then if you watch the creators meet creators videos between Spider-Verse and the Insomniac Spider-Man games creators, they will say that the Spider-Verse creators found the glitch so funny that they considered putting a literal like portable heater in the Spider-Verse movies, which is pretty funny to me. Um, I wish we would have gotten Spider Heater, but unfortunately no Spider Heater. Spider-Man 2. Um, both Peter and Miles have been vibing as Spider-Man. Seems to be going fine. Peter has a job as a teacher, gets fired immediately because of the Sandman fight. Then Miles is close to finishing school. He has to write like a thesis about himself, and then like apply to like this music school which he wants to go to. Peter is moving into Aunt May's house because, fun fact, Aunt May is dead. So he's moving into her house now. MJ is vibing. She doesn't want to yet move in with him yet. Also, Harry is exists now. They thought he was away to Europe. Turns out he was sick with a terminal illness, but they quote unquote found a solution. Then Peter almost dies, and then the treatment that Harry has attaches to Peter, and then things just kind of go downhill from there. So we're just gonna go through the characters again. You have Peter, he's vibing, basically everything I already said. Except now he also has like train miles, new tech, girlfriend stuff, because she doesn't want to move in with him and he wants her to move in, mortgage stuff. He's having a fun time. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, of course. He needs to finish school, except he still has like trauma, like the terrorist attack that Martin Lee did. So when he sees that like Martin Lee is like being broken out of prison, he kind of gets like a PTSD trauma response, and it kind of affects his like decision making. But in the end, he does kind of helping. So yippee character development. Genki Lee is back. He's like now a proper guy in the chair. He casually just builds an app. He casually hacks into like enemy equipment, like at multiple points in the story. Like he's just that guy. Doesn't have too much on screen time, but he's there. He's good guy. We stand Genki Lee. Then of course I got MJ. She's working for J. Jonah Jameson now, because fuck it, why not? She's doing okay. Doesn't really spend much time at home anymore because every time there's a story, she wants to be on the front lines. She's a bit less of like whiny, like boohoo. I want to be treated less like a damsel in distress, and she's more like independent. Her sections are actually somewhat interesting now. She gets a taser gun, so that's pretty cool. Also hairstyle change. She drives her motorcycle now, like she does in a Cure drift in the game, so that's pretty cool. Then of course Harry, because Harry's a thing now. Fun fact: the photo that you saw at like the Spider-Man 2 title, that's also Harry, just as Venom, because writing Eddie Brock is not really a thing in this universe from what I know, so it's just Harry. At first it's like pretty normal, and then like you can see it like the hunters carry out like an attack and like stuff goes wrong, and then it's suddenly like, wow, turns out he has powers. Which is like, damn, that's unexpected. We totally did not expect that. Anyway, Rio Morales, the girl boss, she's councilwoman now. She has a few missions which mainly involve like around Miles and like helping the community, which are pretty fun missions because you get like to learn music history and like black history, which is pretty interesting. Well, specifically black music history, like not really separate. So that's pretty cool. So she's back, of course. we already knew she didn't die because we didn't see the body. She has like one mission where you like chase her for a bit and then help her escape to Paris because that's where her girlfriend lives. Because she has a girlfriend now, which is pretty based. The fans online were not happy about it, but honestly, I don't care because she's pretty and she deserves a pretty girlfriend. Um, he's back as well. Still not Green Goblin. Um, he is the person who like set up the Emily May Foundation, which is like a high school project from Peter and Harry like turned into reality. Which like saved the world and like make the world a better place. Um, Also just saying like May is supposed to be like Harry's mother who died, so it's like in the name of like their deceased relatives. Um, he is teased to either become the Green Goblin or be responsible for the creation of the Green Goblin, but we'll have to wait and see. He starts off just like regular Norman Osborn, and then like at the end of the game, he kind of despises Spider-Man for reasons. Spoilers, I guess. Well, not really. I already spoiled like half of it, but semi spoilers. And then there's also this guy, Sandman, Flint Marco, which, by the way, fun fact, Flint Marco is supposedly not his actual name, but it's apparently a name that he kind of stole from a um, primary school teacher who he had a crush on. Like her last name was Flint or something, and he just ran with it as like an alias. He's the first boss you fight in the game, which if you can see the Spider-Man, he's pretty big. Like, you know, you can see him for comparison, he's pretty big. He is also the reason why Peter gets fired as a teacher because he abandoned his students. But then when you do defeat him, he kind of references like, oh, they're coming, which is like Craven and stuff. And also his mind is just like literally scattered across New York, so you gotta have to like get the shattered pieces of his mind and like put them back together, which is fun. They're decent fun missions, but it is interesting to know that his mind is just like literally physically all over New York. Then you got this guy, the biggest bitch of the game. I should probably pull up chat actually. I wonder if I'm missing stuff, which would be kind of funny. Hold on. Yeah, I didn't miss anything. Fair enough. So, he's the biggest bitch of them all. He's dying, but he doesn't just want to like lay on a deathbed and die. So he's like searching out like villains, to like fight to the death with. Like he kills almost everyone. Like Scorpion's dead, Vulture's dead, Electro's dead, Rhino's dead, even Shocker's dead. And fun fact about that, Shocker is one of the hardest fights that Craven had to put up with because Shocker was the only one that purely fought to survive. Which based love Shocker, Stan Shocker, R.I.P. the boy. But yeah, then he like comes after the villains in New York, tries to kill them, and eventually also picks like Spider-Man as like one of his targets, because Spider-Man gets like bonded with Venom, and then stuff goes wrong. Fun times. Then there's this guy. He's technically also from the first game, but he doesn't really do much. Like you just beat him. He's a reformed villain. He just works at like carnivals and stuff, like Coney Island. Watches the tracks. He does get kidnapped by Craven to like be killed, I guess. But like you save him. He's more so like a setup for a possible future DLC where his daughter, I forgot her name, but there's a villain called Beetle, which one of the iterations is his daughter, which I'm gonna assume has some kind of relation. But he's mostly just set up, but he's still a silly guy, so like look at him. Ball head. Kurt Connor's pretty important. He's like the lead scientist at a bunch of places. He's also the main guy who's like helping Peter get rid of the suit. He does get kidnapped by Craven. He doesn't die luckily, but he does get turned into the lizard at some point. You do save him as like symbiote Spider-Man. But yeah, he basically tries to like help you, and then goes haywire, I guess, which is fun. He's just a guy. He's vibing. Also, he lost one of his arms because of the symbiote instead of like another reason, so that's fun. Mysterio, Quentin Beck, also a reformed villain. He's simply working in the entertainment industry now, but he's actively getting framed by someone close to him, to get him like arrested again for some reason. So like he's mostly like side missions for Miles, where you kind of have to like figure out who's behind it, which is decently fun. But yeah, he's just vibing. He's just guy, just CGI guy, just vibing. And there's this guy again. Ignore the Reddit watermark. I couldn't get rid of it. It's fine. He gets kidnapped by Craven because he's like broken out of prison. He gets kidnapped, and then you have to fight him as Miles, but Miles decides to like save him, which then leads to like more stuff. He's also the reason why anti-venom exists in this universe, which is apparently comic accurate. So that's fun. And then Yuri is back. Oh my god, she's a vigilante. Jesus, she's a vigilante now. City of Never Sleeps DLC. She is chasing a serial killer, who is like called the Flame, because like the cult following, because like he has a cult, and the cult following are just a bunch of arsonists. So if you like arson, fuck it, join the Flame, I guess. She's pretty cool. I like her design. Pretty sure she has some confirmed on-screen kills. I don't remember. Anyway, last guy, Cletus Cassidy. Average serial killer. He steals the Carnage symbiote. At least we assume that it's a Carnage symbiote. But yeah, that's all DLC stuff. He's kind of like getting at Yuri, because like I don't know, he wants something from her. Almost dies, doesn't die, escapes, fun stuff. But that's all DLC stuff, which we don't know anything about yet, because I don't know. Anyway, rambles again. So this is like a very Venom centric game, which is kind of interesting. They did include like all of the Venom family, but like in the form of smaller enemies, so they're not like the original like characters, but they are like variations, like references basically. So this game was also nominated for Game Awards, but they did not win a single one, because Baldur's Gate fans are just more dedicated, I guess, which fair enough. They did win some nominations from other awards, like accessibility awards. The Miles Morales actor also got like best voice acting. So that's fun. And like I said, they got hit with leaks like shortly after the game came out. So there was a bunch of stuff planned, and then it just didn't happen because a bunch of fucked up stuff happened to Insomniac. Anyway, this screen is also from the credits of the game, because the credits of this game look fantastic. I would have played the opening song of this game because it goes super hard, but I'm pretty sure it's copyrighted and I don't want to get Mina more banned than she probably already is. That was all. I am gonna explode now, just like Cassidy did. Can I? Yes, black screen.
Alright, so we might be back. However, it is dinner time, so we will be going to go eat now. Maybe stream later. Bye bye.